4th and goal to go to the 2. 34 seconds left to go in the ball game. This is the play right now. Takes the snap. Targeted goes in. Targeted all alone. And the quarterback keeps. Wow, what a call. Nobody touched him.
Here is Jeff, the host of the Gridiron.
Yeah, I mean, I always hate, sometimes talking about people, or bringing people on, or whatever. I mean, especially after what Gruden did, making fun, calling people, especially calling like a certain, I don't even know who he was talking about, but calling him the F word. I'm not overly thrilled about that or whatever, but he kind of got banished for a little while. Right? He lost his job and all that and everything, so he kind of got banished. Well, he's starting to, he kind of hid for a little while, I guess, and now he's starting to come out a little bit more. You see him; he has his own YouTube channel. Like that. I'm sure he had maybe his own podcast. And he's still apparently he was talking with Jaxson Dart. So he apparently had, because he used to talk to all the quarterbacks coming out. All the big name quarterbacks. He'd have them have the highlights of their film for the college, and he'd be talking, what's going on in this play here? What are you looking at here? So he'd talk to them. He was talking with Dart, and I got to give Gruden some credit. He said, what the heck happened on this play here, right? And Dart got the ball. He dropped back, and he's looking, couldn't find nothing. And he's like, what do you do? And Gruden says, what do you do? I take off. All right, okay. So you take off, and you're running, and look, right here, right? You got the first down. And instead of stepping out of bounds or sliding, what do you do? And he took, I think it was it wasn't a linebacker. But he took on a defensive back, like head on. Boom. He lowered his shoulder, and he was, he's kind of getting on Dart, because when Dart gets, he's got to start learning, do a little bit of sliding or running out of bounds or something. Learn to live another day, another play. Can't be taking on linebackers and stuff like that in the NFL. Right? So he's got to learn to lower his shoulder, get out of bounds. Right, instead of trying to take on everybody, but he's got that killer mentality. But Jon Gruden, there's also a video that I posted it on in my Facebook group because I seen somebody else had it posted, so I'm sure it's posted all over the place. But apparently the Giants sent Jon Gruden a box, and it's got all kinds of things, like a Giant shirt. I think it's got a Giant. Maybe a uniform. He sent him a Giant helmet. He's got all kind of. I think it sounded maybe it was a signed football too or something. So he brought in this big box and he cut it open and he's like pulling things out and all that. But he had some high praise for the Giants. Now, of course, having high praise is one thing. Going out and winning football games is something else. I mean, like the Giants. Oh man, we got a great defensive line. Well, they haven't done anything yet, right? They haven't won us a football game yet. They haven't even gotten a sack yet. They haven't even gotten a tackle yet, right? So you need to pump the brakes. Yes, we have great players, very good players. And yes, we should be upgraded from last season, right? Should be hopefully exciting to watch. Hopefully we stay healthy, right? And all that. We should, have something to really get excited about this season and a couple years forward. Because I said, let's not forget, we got Carter. We got Kayvon, we got Burnsy, and we got Dexter for at least 2 more seasons, right? So, but I mean, seeing it on paper is one thing, but they got to go out and prove it, right? And no better place to prove it on the road against those Commanders in week 1, and not only that, against those Cowboys in week 2. Man, I'll tell you what, nothing would set the stage better than coming home. I think against the Chiefs in week 3, man, MetLife Stadium would be going freaking. If we're 2-0, man, the place would just freaking explode. We'd be freaking rocking. I'll tell you what, nothing the one thing really, I'm not saying we're beating the Chiefs and all like that, but if you look at one of the things that really gets to Patrick Mahomes, okay, especially his 2 Super Bowl losses, is a good rush. When they lost, I don't remember what Super Bowl number it was. You got to forgive me. I'm old, right? I ain't got no hair. I'm a moron, right? But when they played the Bucks, right? I mean, now to be fair, Patrick Mahomes, I think it was his 2 starting tackles were like out. They're kind of important, right? So he had backups in there, but the Bucks had a really good pass rush, right? But he was just running for his life, right? And in that Super Bowl, they scored 3 field goals. The Kansas City Chiefs didn't even score a touchdown. I mean, but a lot of that, every time he dropped back the pass, he was running for his freaking life. Well, I didn't see the game because I'm not going to watch the Eagles. Will not. If my life depended upon it, I will not watch the Eagles. I despise them. Life is short. I'm not going to spend 3 hours watching the Philadelphia. Not happening. But from what I read and all that, and just people, the Eagles pass rush was just like all over Mahomes, right? So, if we're home, when I get the home crowd going freaking bananas, and if we can get that pass rush going, if we can get Mahomes, Mahomes is, he'll move around a little bit, but he ain't gonna, right? He ain't gonna get, he ain't running away from Burnsy. He ain't running away from Carter. Sexy's gonna push that pocket, so. Sexy's got a lot because Chris Jones is going to be on the other sideline. So Sexy's got something to prove in that game. But anyway, right? But I don't know. I went from Jon Gruden to talking about Patrick Mahomes. Anyway, but good old Gruden. He had some praise for the Giants. So Giants drew a massive praise from former Super Bowl winning coach. There was a lot for Jon Gruden to like about the Giants. Now, if you watch that video, I don't know what you type in. I just saw it on Facebook. But he's talking about as he's opening up this box, he's talking about, hey, how about that Abdul Carter? What about that Dexter Long? He was going on and on. So there's a lot to like about those New York Giants. So back when he was an NFL coach who won a Super Bowl with one of the best defensive units in league history. Yes, they were good. Jon Gruden was surrounded by elite talent. So when he sees a team loaded with good players and takes the time to rave about it, people tend to pay attention. Now, once again, I don't condone certainly what he called, if he called one guy the F word, I'm sure he called plenty of other people that, so I certainly don't condone that, but there's no denying the dude knows talent. He did a very good job when he was on, was it Sunday Night Football, Monday Night Football he was on for a while, and he did a very good job. Very good job. Gruden, who was the Super Bowl winning coach for the 2002 Tampa Bay Buccaneers and now does analysis work for Barstool Sports, posted a video of himself receiving a box of merchandise and paraphernalia from the New York Giants and their head coach, Brian Daboll. During the video, Daboll not only rattled off the team, Daboll, whoever wrote this article needs to stop, needs to reread this. Gruden not only rattled off the history of the team, but he had several praising points to make. The first was about the Giants' 2025 NFL draft class. The New York Football Giants, boy, did they have a great draft or what? How about getting Abdul Carter and Jaxson Dart in the same draft? Now, you don't have to be a rocket scientist to figure out how good Abdul Carter is. I can even tell that, right? But he's the one, he sat down with Jaxson Dart. He this dude watches film. He loves watching film. So he's seen a lot of film of Dart. He actually sat down and talked with Dart. So he knows a decent amount about Dart, right? And they got my guy, Cam Skattebo, coming out of the backfield. They got some players, Gruden said. Jon Gruden sees the New York Giants pass rush as a nightmare to deal with. Gruden was always very high on Dart going back to the pre-draft process and felt the Giants were getting one of the toughest players in the draft when they got Dart with the number 25 overall pick. Gruden, though, who also extremely high in the Giants pass rush as well, which includes the other first-round pick from the class in Abdul Carter. Back when Gruden was a Super Bowl winning head coach, many considered the 2002 Buccaneers defense one of the best in recent memory and in league history. That's hard to argue with that. Hard to argue with that. They were good. That defense also had several Hall of Fame players on it: Warren Sapp, Derek Brooks, John Lynch, Ronde Barber, and who's the twin brother of Tiki. If the current Giants defense can be anywhere near the one Gruden coached over 20 years ago, the fan base will absolutely sign up for that. Some see Big Blue as a potential sleeper team in 2025, with the defense being the reason why. Others even think New York's defense has the potential to be a top 10 unit. Well, if they're not top 10, they better be damn close to top 10, or I'll tell you what, Mr. Bowen needs to go bye-bye. If he can't, unless we're totally decimated by injuries, and I'm not saying we got, but if we're not 12, 13, somewhere around there, we got a problem. Of course, the Giants still have to actually go out and produce with their defense and give a very unknown offense a chance to win games in 2025. But the pass rush is as good as others around the league believe. There could be a lot of hope for this upcoming season. Once again, we will have to wait and see, right? Without question. But that's it. You'll have to go out and you have to prove it. Just because the Giants have a great pass, or maybe possibly what looks like on paper, great pass rush and all that stuff and everything, they haven't done anything yet.